Hello everybody, this is Gruesome Fox coming at you with two rated matches here in the buffed Bull-G TB. This first match here is going to be a 550 cost match on the Resort Development District map, and the match following this is going to be a 600 cost match using the level 2 Bull-G, and that is going to be on Mass Driver Facility. And the Bull-G was buffed during the March 2025 unit adjustments, and it's a suit that I have not really used in quite a while, honestly, and I really liked the 550. I've used that one quite a bit, but I really hadn't used the level 2 at 600 all too often. So for this unit adjustment video, I really wanted to not only try the level 1 version again, but also try to see how the 600 cost version fared. And I did get both of these matches before the heavy gun released. That is our most recent 600, so I don't know how the level 2 of the suit would compare to the heavy gun in battle, but I'll get more into detail about that after I go through the unit adjustments here. And just for some basic information for the Bull-G here, this is a suit from Thunderbolt, hence the added TB in the name. It is a 550 to 600 cost general unit, and it is a pretty decent suit overall, at least I think for the most part. You don't have a dodge roll, but you do have some other interesting skills, especially as it relates to the shields that are dangling off the side of the subarms there. Unfortunately, those are not actual shields, but kind of something, again, that's more linked to skills more than anything. But without further ado, we'll start going into the unit adjustments here. And for the Bull-G TB, starting off with the mobile suit specs, the unit HP was enhanced from 19,000 to 21,500, and this also applies to upper levels as well. And already a good start for the TB, since, not the TB, I say the TB like there's not multiple TB suits. Already a decent start for the Bull-G, just going to get this comment out of the way. Really feel like this suit should have been tankier, so really glad to see the increased HP there, and they kind of go further into that with the other skills they enhanced. Unit skill, Special Leg Buffer level 2 was adjusted to level 3, and for the level 2 version of this suit, Damage Control level 1 was adjusted to level 2, so again, already a pretty decent start for the Bull-G here. Moving on to the weapons, they didn't do any changes to the main weapons. All the changes they did was to the 3 of the sub-weapons. And the first one is going to be the Bull-G Twin Beam Rifle. The heat rate was reduced from 20% to 25%. Cooldown time was shortened from 1 second to 0.8 of a second. And for the level 2 version, power was increased from 1,100 to 1,200. Moving to the 6-tube missile launcher, reload time was shortened from 13 seconds to 10 seconds, and the level 2 power was increased from 950 to 1050. And then finally, we have the 6-tube missile launcher special projectile, where the reload was shortened from 15 seconds to 12 seconds, projectile speed was increased, recoil was reduced, and the level 2 power was increased from 225 to 300. And that's everything we have for the unit adjustment list here. A pretty small list for the Bull-G here, but I do think there were some very nice improvements that they made to it. As I said with the mobile suit specs, I do always like when they add HP to a mobile suit, especially the increase they gave the Bull-G here. Again, I feel like this suit, with really just how bulky it is, and with those shields that are hanging off the side, because again, those shields are not actual shields, they're linked to one of your skills, so they soak damage more than they, are able to. They're not like shields where they would soak up the damage until they get destroyed. They just take damage. So having a tankier mobile suit here, I think, is already pretty good, and having the, for the leg buffer level 2 adjusted to level 3, I think it's also really good because, again, the suit is kind of on the bulkier side, so having some extra defense for the legs, also not a bad sign there. For the twin beam rifle, I honestly don't use this weapon as much as I should. at least in this match. I believe in the second match I have with the level 2, I do use this weapon a lot more, because really I was just trying to get back in the rhythm of playing the Bull-G, so this first match here, again, I didn't really use that twin beam rifle as much as I probably should have, but yeah, twin beam rifle does feel pretty good. It's already a pretty, decent weapon. I guess in a way, I don't want to say it's like this suit's kind of version of Vulcan's, because I don't think it's really accurate for the twin beam rifle, but it's kind of like the non-stunning weapon that you can throw in between using your stun weapons, so it does have a really neat purpose there. And for both of the missiles on this suit I think are really good for both of them. I believe the special projectile missiles, I believe those ones are actually able to instant stun, so with the reduced reload time from 15 seconds to 12 seconds, that's already pretty good. And for the regular missiles that you get, you are able to control those ones. So again, just having more, a shorter reload time, and for the level 2 having more damage. Again, I think it's pretty much really good overall. And I'm saying all this, all these buffs are really good for the Bull-G, but how does it work in the context of the mobile suit, especially at both costs? I do think for 550, and I've been playing a few more 600 matches, because the original 600 match I wasn't very satisfied with, so I did get a newer one that ended up doing a lot better. But I do think for the 550 native version, I do think the suit comes off really well. I think with the reduced reload times for the really for all the weapons, really, since you have the Bull-G twin beam rifle. I actually didn't get anything for overheat, but it did get the the cooldown time that was shortened and the reduced heat rate, so you're able to fire it more. And then for the missiles, having the shortened reload time, being able to use them more, I think it allows the suit to have a more consistent set of damage that's able to perform. That's why I said with the twin beam rifle, I really don't use it as much as I should, because it is actually a pretty decent damage dealer, especially if you're using it on a down target. Say maybe you just can't get in close enough to the downswing, like maybe a teammate knocks him over. Yeah, I would say go with the twin beam rifle. I think you're going to do some pretty hefty damage, especially like, if you try to aim for anything vital. So the twin beam rifle, I think, definitely has its perks, and as I said with the missiles, you can, with the shortened reload, you can keep using them, and again, really, it's really just good to have a suit that you were just able to, kind of, not necessarily spam the missiles with, but you kind of have them pretty much ready in most cases, so I think that's pretty good for the level 1, and before I continue on here, let's take a look at this first match here. We did get a mission complete, and let's see how we did here. Didn't get anyone on the board. It looks like the Sakumo Testoga got the top stats there, but did get second place with 4 kills and 2 loss. I also had a penalty 1 at this time. I think this was after I got disconnected from the Saturday stream 2 weeks ago. And for this match too, I also had a penalty level 1. I think I got this one after the last stream, so very coincidental there. But yeah, this is going to be the level 2 match here, so I'll wrap up with what I was saying with the level 1. Yeah, again, I think the level 1 Bull-G, that version I think is pretty good with the buffs they gave it. Now the thing with the level 2 is that really, did get all the same buffs that the level 1 practically did, but really mainly the main changes being that the damage control level 1 was adjusted to level 2, and then it got the increased power for its weapons. I don't know how I feel about the Bull-G at level 2 from trying it. I got a pretty good amount of matches in the level 2. I ended up playing this version more. Mainly, as I said, really just trying to get a good match with the suit. And I think it can work, but at level 2, I don't know, at level 2 I really just don't feel it as much. I think when it comes to 600, I think the Bull-G is just kind of a bulkier, slower suit. And I think that's kind of what hinders it. Like, I'm more used to a lot of the suits that people play at 600 being these much faster suits, and especially with the recent addition of the heavy gun, that suit's pretty small and pretty fast. It does have flat booster, so again, I'm not sure, in the time I got this video, I'm not sure how well the Bull-G would fare against the heavy gun, but even if we're not taking the heavy gun into consideration, again, I just feel like there's a lot more like faster, smaller, speedier suits that exist at the cost, and I do think that can hinder the Bull-G quite a bit at level 2. There are some instances where it does work, like especially like fighting against this Pixie here. Earlier I was able to do some really good damage with the missiles against them, so I do think there are instances where the Bull-G can work at level 2. But again, I just feel like, maybe against raids, I feel like against raids it's going to be really good. Or if you can just get the missile spam off, I think that's also, a really good case because, being higher cost, there aren't as many suits built for ballistic damage. So I definitely think if you can get the missiles off, which, again, the shortened reload time makes it a lot easier to really accomplish that. I do think that's one of the main perks of using the TB. I keep saying the TB like there's not multiple TBs. The Bull-G here. I think those missiles are definitely a big perk, and this is also, as I was saying with the last video, I use the twin beam rifle in this match a lot more, so you can really see more of the damage that I'm able to deal with it. Honestly, it just feels like a case of you want a decent team with you. I think that's just the main thing when it comes to the Bull-G here. I think this is a suit that at 600 you want a pretty decent team, maybe somebody who can help get stuns with you, not for you, because you do have plenty of stun options with the Bull-G. You do have the bazooka, you have the beam rifle that's attached to the subarm, and you also have you have the missiles that are able to instant stun as well, so you do have some, you have plenty of instant stun options to go in for a melee, but again, I do think maybe having somebody who can kind of help you get downswings or just stun targets so you can really make the use of your range weapons. I think that's really been the best game plan that I've found at 600 when it comes to the Bull-G. Really just trying to make as much use of my range weapons as I possibly could. Really seemed to be an effective strategy. So kind of went on for that a bit longer than I thought I would, but yeah, pretty much more of what I'm saying here is I think the level 1 version definitely benefited from the changes. Even though they were minuscule, I do think a lot of those changes did help, and it's just that when it comes to the level 2 version, I'm still just a bit more skeptical on it, I guess. Again, I think there are instances where it can work, but again, I do think there are some, just some of the general aspects of 600, kind of like the way it is currently. I just do think there are some things that kind of hinder this suit, so, yeah, especially since you are a suit that doesn't have a dodge roll. Not something that I fault the Bull-G for, though. It's, there's plenty of suits that I like that don't have a dodge roll, like the Gustav Call and the Silver Bullet, so I really don't hold it not having a dodge roll against it, since, again, I feel like that's not really the main game plan of the suit. Like, again, really just feels like you want to use those range weapons and try to stack on as much damage on a target as you are able to. Get stuns, since you have multiple stun options, so, yeah, that seems like it's pretty much the plan here, and not really much case I can say for this suit needing a dodge roll. It's kind of like the same thing I said with the prototype Double Zeta Gundam when I made my video on that. I feel like the suit just really doesn't need a dodge roll. I think for the skills it does have, I think they are pretty good, so I don't think it necessarily needs one. I think it not having a dodge roll just also makes it a bit more distinct than, you know, if it was just the average suit that had a, you know, instant stun into melee into dodge roll kind of setup. So I would appreciate the uniqueness there, but yeah, that's really all I have to say on the Bull-G here. Yeah, again, really do like what they did, even if it's some more minuscule changes. But I think they do make quite the impact, especially just with those sub-weapons. Like, I think for the most part, this suit was always pretty fine for what it was, and I think just really adjusting those sub-weapons is really going to make more of a difference, since, you know, it really gives those sub-weapons more of an opportunity to see usage, you know, really help them shine. So I think overall the unit adjustment for the Bull-G here is a pretty decent one. Really reminds me though that I never did a unit adjustment video on the Zaku 4 IP. I really wanted to do that suit, but I think there was just other videos that I was trying to do at the time and other suits I was trying to get footage for, so I could never get into 700 to try and make a video for it. And honestly, I'm going to be very curious about how that suit's going to perform in the future. Only because now, you know, now we're going into the F91 era, we're going to be getting a lot more smaller mobile suits. So I'm just not really sure how well a big suit like the Zaku 4 IP is going to work. Especially when it comes to the melee patterns. I do worry that some of the melee patterns on the Zaku 4 IP won't be able to hit those smaller suits, but real quick here, let's take a look at the level 2 results here of the Bull-G. And again, didn't get anywhere on the board, but I did beat my rival. Looks like it was the Rizal this time that took the board. And 5th place with 2 kills and 2 loss. Did get 3rd in damage there, so not a bad pair of matches here with the Bull-G. Kind of looking at my ranking in both the matches, that's kind of what I mean when I say the level 1 just seems like it's more effective than the level 2 version. The level 1 matches I played at 550, I felt like I was able to do a lot more with the Bull-G. In comparison to the 600 at level 2, I really could not get those same results. I could get kind of close, but not really the same. So I think that kind of just exemplifies what I said about the level 1 version feeling like it's just much better than the level 2. But yeah, overall, again, I do think the unit adjustments, overall, while simple, I think they're going to be pretty good for this suit, and that's really all I have to say. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video here. Comment down below what you think about the buffed Bull-G TB. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Later.